The level of desperation that we're seeing right now, oh my goodness. When a political machine starts dragging people into the White House Situation Room, you know that they're terrified about what's going to come out. I am Silvia Salazar. This is Breaking the Feed on the Dangerous Ones Network. Today, we're going to talk about the desperation and cover-up around the release of the Epstein Files. But before we start, I want to be really clear about something. I'm not going to go into specific details of the newly released emails because there are new batches and new information dropping every hour, and I don't want this episode to be outdated the moment that it goes live. And more importantly, some of those details can be very triggering for survivors of sexual assault. And so this is a topic that deserves care. So today, we are zooming out. We're talking about the political behavior, the panic, and the extraordinary steps that Trump and his allies are taking this week to stop the vote that could force the release of the Epstein Files. Wow. Okay, I have to be honest, I wasn't expecting my first solo episode of Breaking the Feed to be about a topic that is literally breaking the internet right now. I was really nervous today because it was my first episode after you met me in The Dangerous Ones, and I don't want to let you down. I was planning to talk about something completely different today, but we're going to look at this whole thing from a different angle. Like I said in the intro, we're not going to go into specific details of the emails. So stay with me. What we're going to talk about today are the screams coming out of the White House. Not literal screams, but their behavior and everything that they've been trying to do, along with their allies, to stop this from happening. And yes, we are talking about the Epstein Files today, but I really want to get to know you, and I want you to tell me what you would like this show to cover. So in the comments, let me know, what are your hot button issues? So let's start setting the scene for what is happening right now. I don't know when you're watching this episode, but it's important to start probably with what happened over the weekend and the beginning of this week with the Senate vote. The Senate vote to reopen the government. Since the Senate passed something that differed from what the House passed back in September 19th, then the bill had to go back to the House. What does that mean? That means that there was a representative-elect, Adelita Grijalva, from Arizona's 7th District, who was elected on September 23rd and had not been sworn in. House Speaker Mike Johnson made every excuse under the sun to say that he could not swear her in until the House was back in session. That is inaccurate. He could have sworn her in at any moment. But he kept the House outside of Washington since September 19th because as soon as this woman was elected, she said she was going to provide the last signature number 218th, on the discharge petition of the Epstein Files. Now, like I said, House Speaker Mike Johnson had been keeping all of the people in the House for the last 54 days. And he insists that they are all working for the people, working so hard that he can barely sleep. Excuse me. Let me tell you that this whole funding bill to reopen the government is temporary and it only lasts until January. And all the work that they need to do to come up with the bill to fund the government for the next fiscal year, they haven't even started. There are 12 bills that have to come together, and none of those committees are doing really any work. So, okay. Now, because this started rolling the snowball, then Trump starts panicking. And he starts trying to chase down Representative Nancy Mace. According to reports, he was trying to track her down for 24 hours. Now, as soon as the Senate passed the bill and Mike Johnson said, hey, we're going to call everybody back into session starting Wednesday of this week, November 12th, then that's when you see more activity, okay? And there are simultaneously two things that start to happen. The House Oversight Committee has some emails from the Epstein estate, and they released some of them Wednesday morning. Now, at the same time, Trump is trying to hunt down Representative Nancy Mace because she is one of the Republicans who signed the discharge petition. So if he can change her, he can ask her, if he can convince her to change her vote, then once Adelita Grijalva gets sworn in, they no longer have the 218th signatures that they need for this to become a thing, right? Apparently that doesn't work. And while he's trying to chase her down, the House Oversight Committee is releasing these emails that make it very apparent that this is of concern, which we all knew about, but this is public pressure and it shows a lot of things. Now, what I find completely insane, and this is what I'm talking about when I say screaming, not literal, metaphorically screaming from the White House, is that they called House Representative Lauren Boebert to a meeting into the White House Situation Room with Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and FBI Director Kash Patel. Lauren Boebert was one of the Republicans who signed the discharge petition, and clearly they're trying to convince her, coerce her, into changing sides so that, again, as I explained, so that when Adelita Grijalva gets sworn in, they no longer have those 218 signatures. Now, if you don't have anything to hide and you're not trying to cover up for the most powerful man in the world, then you don't do these things and you don't try to intimidate a member of Congress in the White House Situation Room, I don't think. Right? Now, what happens? Adelita Grijalva gets sworn in at 4 p.m. and her signature is the 218th signature to force the discharge petition on the Epstein Files. And I'm going to explain in a little bit the difference between the emails that we're seeing and what this discharge petition talks about. Let's zoom out for a second here. Prince Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, King Charles's younger brother from the United Kingdom, was stripped of his royal titles and even forced out of his Windsor mansion because of his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. So the king launched a formal process to remove every honor attached to Andrew's name, and he's no longer Prince Andrew. Now, meanwhile, here in the United States, we have the Speaker of the House, Republican Mike Johnson, who is like this super Christian guy, shutting down the government for 54 days and keeping members outside of Washington so that they don't come and work and negotiate with the Democrats on any of the bills that they still need to pass to reopen the government and to make sure that there's not another shutdown come January 30th to protect Donald Trump. I'm sorry. What? I can't even. Blah, blah, blah. So I told you that there were two separate sets of files, okay? This is important to understand. There's two sets of documents. Number one, the Epstein emails. These come from the Epstein estate, and they are voluntarily provided. They include emails between Epstein, his associates, and possibly third parties offering insight into his communications and relationships. So this is from his personal and business archives. These are not from government agencies or criminal investigations. This is what we're starting to see this week. Now, the ones that are not public yet, the Department of Justice Epstein Files, are the official federal investigation records. So they include flight logs, travel documents, internal agency communications, anything that the Department of Justice or federal law enforcement has on this entire humongous case. Now, there's been a discharge petition. Mike Johnson says there will be a vote coming up soon around this. And if that passes, then the files must be released within 30 days with the victims' identities protected. The interesting thing is that Politico is now reporting that senior Republicans privately believe that dozens of Republicans will vote for it, even 100 or more. Even 100 or more Republicans could vote in favor of this. And I find this whole thing to be interesting because this is not the first time that this president has been involved in a huge scandal. And I want to, again, zoom out a little bit and point out that this is a pattern, because this is not the first time that Donald Trump is facing a crisis regarding women, misconduct, and things of this nature, right? And he's always trying to deny, distract, put lawyers to make things more complicated. We've seen this over and over. Remember in 2016, the Access Hollywood tape. Remember his first presidency was tarnished by the entire Stormy Daniels scandal. The E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation. And he's in a panic. He's in a panic and calling people into the White House Situation Room to try to force them to protect him. But this time it didn't work. The House of Representatives was out of Washington for 54 days, and the government was shut down for weeks and weeks and weeks. When he finally signed the bill to reopen the government, reporters asked him about this, and he just dismissed everybody. He wouldn't answer the questions. So I don't know about you, but I think we agree that this is not the behavior of somebody who has the possibility of coming out as innocent if these files come out to the light. And as I said at the beginning of the show, there are things coming out every single hour about this, and it's very hard to keep up with what's going on, but it is going to be massive. But here's my call to action for all of us, because this is one of those moments where we have a lot of people paying attention. And Danger Corps, this is where we need to make a difference and continue amplifying all of this information so it stays front and center, and we don't let this political machine distract us from the fact that powerful people are trying to protect whomever is in those files. I don't care who it is. If you're in those files, this needs to come out. We would love to hear from you what you think about this entire development this week. Remember that we have a very special thing here on our show, a phone line where you can call 24/7, leave a voicemail. You don't have to leave us your name, but if you do, we love it. The number is 503-212-4600. And if you want to leave me an email, go ahead and write to shout@breakingthefeed.com. So let's keep talking about this. This is going to continue snowballing. We have no idea what this is going to lead us. We honestly do not. But keep focusing on this, because this is moving the needle and fracturing a lot of what MAGA had been protecting. If you learned something new, please share the episode, subscribe, and bring somebody else along with you. We would absolutely love it. I can't wait to see you again. And remember, I am Silvia Salazar. This is Breaking the Feed on the Dangerous Ones Network. Bye.